till in Open All Hours has actually gone into folk legend. I know that we're all computerised with tills now, but nevertheless they do misbehave. And it's always, oh, hello, we've got Arkwright's till here. It really has become a bit of folklore, hasn't it?
We started, of course, in the days of pound notes. I mean, that's what we were putting into the till. Over the years, it got a mind of its own and built its own little character.
I like a balance of dialogue and physical business. And you look around for options for this physical business. And, you know, the till came to mind and it grew into a monster.
The props department got cleverer and cleverer, and it was doing everything except speaking by the end of the series.
What we had to do was to have a cable fixed out the back, connected to the till, with a handle on the cable. The agreed procedure was that he would put his fingers against the till drawer, and that would be the signal. And this worked perfectly for several episodes, until the day that Ronnie didn't just put his fingers against the till, but he may have hooked his thumb over the drawer. And when the till was slammed shut, Ronnie's reaction to camera was real.
You know, you could lose most of your basic equipment standing right here.
It did symbolise Arkwright's sort of snapping, grabbing greed, because the till was like Arkwright's wallet. It went bang, grabbed anything that came by.
I think now on reflection, I think that it is part of the money-grabbing process that Arkwright goes through, and even his till, you know, gets it before he's let go of it.
There we are. Oh! I'll go get you playtime.
Is there a more profound point being made about money, really? Is it, you know, one of the great truths that money doesn't bring you happiness? Because it seems like the till, as the receptacle of the money, is out to hurt him. Is that saying anything? Probably not.
It's delightfully simple. The wit is sharp, it's northern, it's easy. It appeals to everyone.
No, listen, stand order.
It is very gentle, it's undemanding. But it is genuinely funny, I think. There are some very good jokes.
It's not sort of rip-roaring farce. It is just a gentle comedy based on the words.
It says here that the Scotland Yard are looking for a very small man with one eye. If he's that small, you think they use him with both eyes, don't you?
I do think we miss that sort of gentle, not so vicious, you know, sort of humour, character-based. I think that's what we sort of miss.
Oh! Furniture polish.
Its job is to entertain, amuse, and make people feel better. And I think it's still doing its job after all these years.
Was that your Granville under all them boxes?
Well, it was either him or a very bold shoplifter.
Yeah. Godfather of the stutter.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Jackson.
It gave him an opportunity to do what he likes to do with the English language, both respect it and throw it all over the place.
Down a bit.
How far?
I'll tell you when to stop. Stop! Why don't you stop when I tell you to stop?
I think it was very believable as a stammer. Frighteningly believable.
Ronnie Barker perhaps didn't display the stutter perhaps in the most realistic of manners, but then does it matter? I mean, the fact was, yes, he was showing that stutters are just normal people who just have slight problems talking.
Are you having treatment for that?
For what?
Your impediment. I haven't got an impediment.
It just gave the cutting edge, I think, to his character that made him stand out even more than he would have done normally as Arkwright. And it gave Arkwright that edge that no one else had got.
There's enough dirt on there to fill the black hole of Cacalcacut, the black hole of Cacalcacut, the black hole of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
Cold on paper, Arkwright's character is not awfully pleasant. So I think the guy needed some kind of flaw that people could, you know, get a bit of their own back with.
It all started when we had
It's no good. You know I can't understand Morse code.
I'm trying to say BBC 2. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is it funny to laugh at a man with a stammer? Yes.
Well, I was worried about it originally, in fact, but as soon as you've done, you know, a couple of rehearsals, you think this is even funnier.
Granville, how do you spell pepper? Is it 6 P's or 7?
You're getting a regular gadabout, aren't you? That must be twice you've been out since 1976. Oh, that reminds me. Have you got a can of air freshener?
Certainly, Mrs. Blewett.
Well, you damn well need it.
I have a thing about strong Yorkshire women. They're often the strength in households. I mean, men play at every opportunity, don't they? But women have to be serious.
I found life so complicated.
It is, unless you keep it in its place.
I thought I'd be used to it by now.
Well, I'm not a religious woman, but I find if you say no to everything, you can hardly tell the difference.
They would talk about their husbands, and their husbands were invariably under their thumb.
If he's not under me feet, he's down at that British Legion Club, trying to drink his way back through the Second World War. I wouldn't mind, but he only got as far as Aldershot.
I really do think that's a northern thing. Women are strong and became strong through going through very hard times. I mean, seriously hard times.
The women aren't alone in having a hard time. Arkwright longs to be the master of all that he surveys, but the real objects of his desire will remain embloused until Nurse Gladys says so.
He's been a fiancé for God knows how many years, and he can't get past the front door because of her mother. So she dictates, yes, she certainly does. She rules the roost.
How's your mother today?
He's fine, thank you.
She's a professional woman with her own car and her own life. And in fact, of the 3 characters, she's the most aspirational one. She's the one who breaks out from the streets and goes away and comes back. The rest of them are stuck there.
It's just that I get this impression that you've been doing yourself up a bit.
Cheeky devil. You make me sound like a condemned shed.
Well, just you remember, you're my condemned shed.
For generations, the women have had to be the strength and had to be tough. So as a consequence, you get men, husbands, treated like kids. And it's the only way to treat them in many cases, I think.
There we are, Mrs. Parslow. Will there be anything at all for Mr. Parslow?
I don't see why there should be. He never buys anything for me.
Oh, well, I thought you might surprise him with a bit of something tasty.
I would, if I knew where she lived.
Your trouble is that you don't think I can do anything right. I'd like to have known my father.
Yes. So would your mother.
On cold paper, reading the script, some of the comments you'd think are brutal.
Do you realise that I have never been to a wedding?
I know. Yeah, my mother had the same problem.
But somehow it's in a context and delivered in a manner that takes all the pain out of it, and you laugh.
Don't start dragging my mother into this.
Why not? She was always being dragged into things. Bushes, mainly.
One day they were talking, and Granville says to Arkwright, "What was my mother really like?"
No, she always had a ready smile, and she certainly enjoyed life.
Did you get on well together?
Oh, yes. We got on fine together. She always used to wave to me when she went past in a gentleman's car, sometimes with both feet.
And I thought that was one of my favourite jokes.
We can't hold any sort of conversation without you dragging me mother into it. Why don't you leave her alone? Eh? At least she wasn't money-grabbing all the time.
No, I heard she was very reasonable.
She wasn't just out for what she could get.
No, but she always got what she went out for.
Firelighters.
Oh.
One of the beauties of the series was that all those people who came in the shop, some of the very, very small parts.
And as anyone who ever saw Naked Jungle will know, there are few actors with smaller parts than Keith Chegwin.
Have you got a frozen Zoom?
You might well ask someone.
Ronnie said once, if you want Gielgud, ask Gielgud. You can only say no, you know, which is the best attitude, really.
Oh, would you give me half a bottle of sherry for our Claudine?
Well, it sounds a fair exchange, yeah.
She's very upset. Your young man's just broke it off.
All my family thought he was brilliant. And when I told him I'd been working with Ronnie Barker, they went, oh, my God, you know, thought I were a film star.
How much are these, Mr. Arkwright?
Oh, that'll be nine. That'll be nine. That'll be nine. Oh, give us a shilling.
Mrs. Delphine Featherstone. Isn't that a wonderful name, Delphine? I mean, Roy Clarke. Brilliant.
Well, Mrs. Featherstone.
Call me Delphine.
Delphine? We've got some tinned fruit, call that, somewhere.
There was another character I loved called Wavy Mavis.
Scotch broth, Mavis, that's very exotic. No, I haven't got a small tin, I'll only have a large tin.
Oh. She's just one of those people who can only hold one thing in her brain at a time.
Well, I can't cut them in half, Mavis. It all flops out, you see. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll sell you one large tin and I'll only charge you for the two small tins.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Arkwright.
You don't get much for your money these days.
Oh, but then you never did, you see. It's just that the much you didn't get then was mucher than the much you don't get so much of now. I know, I can't understand it either.
Ronnie Barker's got the most wonderful ear for dialogue and knows if an if is better than an and he's not to be faulted on that.
Oh, I'll just finish this delicious cup of cocoa and then I'll be off.
How dare you? That's coffee.
I should have known, shouldn't I? It's so like you. Full-bodied, indefinable, deep, with two lumps.
I like the way he uses words. I love because I've always loved words and the use of them or misuse of them.
That warehouse is full of boxes and boxes of mothballs. They're not shifting.
And you know why they're not shifting, don't you, eh? Because nobody wants to buy any mothballs anymore, that is why.
Nobody buys mothballs anymore because nobody sells mothballs to anybody anymore. And you're one of the nobodies who's not selling mothballs to anyone anymore.
It was rather like a wonderful Christmas pudding. There were all these little wonderful bits of fruit, you know, that made up the whole.
Oh, that quite made my heart thump. Can you see my bosom pounding?
Well, I can see it half pounding. Trouble is, you see, with Nurse Gladys, I've got used to thinking in kilos.
Arkwright always had some wonderful expressions, a wonderful turn of phrase when he was describing Nurse Gladys.
You know, I see her come out of there like a small, highly trained panzer division, and my heart lifts. Every time I think about her, I feel as if I'm paddling barefoot through loose change.
It's a flowery way of speaking that is still alive, you know, in Yorkshire and Lancashire and various places north of Watford.
Hey, Mother, had the American Army during the war?
Not all of them, I trust.
You used to go to the corner shop and you'd find out what Mrs. So-and-so was doing and what Mr. So-and-so was doing. I mean, things that didn't appear in the local newspapers.
They come at 9 o'clock on Thursday night with an ambulance and took him away. They're all expecting him back, but I told her. He looks yellow to me. That means kidneys. I wouldn't give you twopence for his kidneys. How much is your boiled ham?
Well, it's a bit more expensive than his kidneys.
It's a working class form of therapy, is gossiping. It's slightly cheaper and sort of than paying a therapist. So I think we do need it.